Episode 410 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic is live. And tonight I will be talking about Impact Wrestling's Under Siege WWE Friday Night Smackdown and also AEW Rampage right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hey, wrestling fans. It's a special live episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic tonight, as this big pro wrestling weekend I've been talking about for a while now has begun. And on tonight's podcast, like I mentioned in that little preview there, we'll be talking all about Impact Wrestling Under Siege, tonight's episode of WWE Smackdown, and also tonight's episode of AEW Rampage. Let's start off this big pro wrestling week. And first thing is first. We started off live with Impact Wrestling Under Siege, or at least I did anyway, on Impact Plus, Fight TV, and YouTube for the ultimate insiders. Under Siege tonight was live from London, Ontario, Canada. Our commentators for the evening: sorry about that. The Drama King, Matt Raybalt, and Tom Hannafan. I don't know why I forgot his name there for a second, but like I said, we are live. So sometimes when you are live, you have a little mistake or two. And we start things off tonight on Under Siege with the countdown to Under Siege, which was available for free on Impact Plus, Fight TV, YouTube. And it was for the Impact Wrestling Digital Media Championship. Joe Hendry taking on the new heel Dirty Dango, who was revealed on Impact Wrestling to have been the one who was attacking Impact Wrestling Director of Authority Santino Marella backstage. And this match ends with Joe Hendry getting the win via disqualification after Dirty Dango hits a low blow. And then after this match, we see the return of Impact's DOA, Santino Marella, and he goes right after Dirty Dango. And now on to the main card, Impact Wrestling Under Siege. And we start things off with the national treasure, Nick Aldis, taking on the KING, Kenny King. This one I thought was actually a pretty good match to start the show. Nick Aldis, one of the top talents in pro wrestling today, and Kenny King, another one who has been very impressive for a long time. And in this one is Nick Aldis getting the victory. And as Nick Aldis is making his way back up the ramp we see in the crowd something is going on, and it is Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich brawling through the fans. They eventually make their way to the ring, and Impact Security comes out to break it up. And next up, we have Sami Callihan, Rich Swann, and their mystery partner taking on the Design in a 6-man tag team match. And the mystery partner of Sami Callihan and Rich Swann is none other than Sami Callihan's, or one of Sami Callihan's former teammates in OVE, Ohio versus Everyone, Jake Crist. And this one was a okay match. I wouldn't say it was real great, but it was a pretty good match. Callihan, Swann, and Crist get the win, which I kind of suspect after this feud with the three of them, or at least Sami Callihan anyway, and the Design could continue, because to me anyway, in my opinion, this match didn't really seem like the blow off that was needed for this feud that has been going on for quite a while now. And I thought it could have been quite a bit better than it was, but I still thought it was a pretty good match though. But like I said, nothing real great though. And next up on Under Siege, we have the Impact Plus special debut, I guess you could say, of Trinity taking on Giselle Shaw. And this one, pretty good match, I thought. Trinity only has had a couple matches so far since she has been in Impact Wrestling, but she's looking pretty good. She gets the submission win over Giselle Shaw in this one with the Starstruck. And next up, the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Championships are on the line. We have Subculture, Mark Andrews, and Flash Morgan Webster with Danny Luna in their corner, and they are taking on the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions representing the Bullet Club, ABC, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay. This was a fantastic tag team match in my opinion. Both teams working very well. And if you know your TNA/Impact Wrestling history, you remember Mark Andrews, also known as Mandrews, has competed for Impact in the past, and tonight was the Impact debut of Flash Morgan Webster. But once again, very good tag team match, and I definitely recommend, if you did not see this match, I definitely recommend checking out the replay of Under Siege. Definitely this match is one you want to check out. And the Impact Wrestling X Division Championship is on the line. Chris Sabin taking on Trey Miguel. Good match here. Solid X Division match. And we see Trey Miguel use some underhanded tactics to get the win and retain the X Division Championship by defeating Chris Sabin. And next up, we have a 6-way match, and where the winner will be the number one contender for the Impact Wrestling World Championship. And we have Eddie Edwards, Moose, Yua Uemura, the Octopus Jonathan Gresham, Alex Shelley, and Frankie Kazarian. This one, another good match on this card. This one got pretty wild at times with 6 guys in there going at it, but the finish sees Alex Shelley pinning Uemura, and he is now the number 1 contender for the Impact Wrestling World Championship, and we find out that he will get that world title shot June 10th at Against All Odds, which is an Impact Plus special, the last one before Slammiversary. And who will Alex Shelley be facing for the Impact World Championship? We will find that out in just a little bit. But first, the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship is on the line. The Juggernaut Jordynne Grace challenging the Impact Knockouts champion, the Virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo. Both of these talents are very good in the ring. Definitely impressed with Jordynne Grace. I don't know how you cannot be. And Deonna Purrazzo, in my opinion, definitely one of the top, not just female talents, but one of the top talents in all of pro wrestling today. Great knockouts champion. And this match sees Deonna Purrazzo get the win, defeating Jordynne Grace by hitting the Queen's Gambit from the top rope. And due to the stipulation, Jordynne Grace cannot get another Impact Knockouts Championship as long as Deonna Purrazzo is the champion. And I got a little bit of news about this coming up at the end of the podcast, so stay tuned. And now it is time for the main event of Under Siege 2023. It is a no disqualification match for the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. We have the champion Steve Maclin defending against Perfect Creation 1 PCO. It was what you expected. No disqualification. You got somebody as crazy as the French-Canadian Frankenstein PCO in there. And Steve Maclin, one tough cookie. Starts off what you would expect in a no DQ match, kind of like this. A lot of weapons, and kind of pretty early on, Steve Maclin gets busted open. I think it was by a garbage can shot. And this definitely was not just a little cut, like when you cut yourself shaving in the morning. Steve Maclin was a bloody mess. Just about his whole face was covered with blood, down to his chest, his stomach, his arms, all covered in blood. And we see Steve Maclin get pieces of the cement just like he did to PCO last week on Impact Wrestling on Access TV. He goes for that again with the sledgehammer. And we also see some cinder blocks in this match. And Steve Maclin is able to use those cinder blocks, hitting his finisher on top of them and pinning PCO to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. And after the match, Steve Maclin gets on the mic and calls out the Impact Wrestling president, Scott D'Amore. And as Scott D'Amore promised last night on Impact Wrestling, he did put the Impact World Championship around the waist of Steve Maclin. And then he offered to shake Maclin's hand, but Maclin refused. As Maclin walked out of the ring, was about to leave, we see behind Scott D'Amore is Bully Ray. And he starts attacking Scott D'Amore in the ring. He looks over at Steve Maclin, tells him to get a table. Maclin goes under the ring, pulls out a table, throws it in the ring. They attack Scott D'Amore, and then they get a bottle of lighter fluid. And at this time, Matt Raywalt puts his headset down, takes it off, goes in the ring, and tries to save Scott D'Amore. He tries to talk some sense into Bully Ray and Steve Maclin, mostly Steve Maclin, tells him he doesn't have to do this. But then Bully Ray and Maclin attack Raywalt, start to pour lighter fluid on him, and we see PCO get back in the ring, attacks Bully Ray, but the 2-on-1 advantage with Steve Maclin in there. And then we see the Marcy Machine Guns come out, try to help. But then, once again, Bully Ray and Steve Maclin get the advantage. And they focus their attention on Scott D'Amore again. Bully pours the lighter fluid onto the table and power bombs Scott D'Amore through the flaming table. And I remember heading into Rebellion, Tommy Dreamer, when he had Team Dreamer taking on Team Bully in the Hardcore War, that it looked like we might see Scott D'Amore have one more match and be a part of Team Dreamer. But that did not happen. But now, though, it kind of looks like they could be going into that direction again, possibly teasing a match with Scott D'Amore and Bully Ray. Of course, it shouldn't be anytime soon, because they should have Scott D'Amore off selling the powerbomb through the flaming table. But Slammiversary is in July, so that might be okay to have them off of TV until maybe, I don't know, the go-home show, but maybe even a couple weeks before Slammiversary might be okay to have them come back, and they could have some kind of, I don't know if they would have a tables or a flaming tables match, but some kind of match with a hardcore stipulation in there. Bully Ray and Scott D'Amore, because that was one thing that Tommy Dreamer kept mentioning in the build-up to Rebellion, that Scott D'Amore never really had one last retirement match. So I could kind of see maybe one more match from Scott D'Amore. So that was Impact Wrestling Under Siege. Overall, I thought it was a very good show, and Impact Wrestling, like I always say, in my opinion anyway, they deliver with these Impact Plus specials, whether you watch them on Impact Plus or you order them separately on Fight TV or on YouTube for the Ultimate Insiders. They are pretty good shows. I recommend them. Checking out the replay either on Impact Plus or one of the other options you have to watch it. Very good show tonight. And now let's move on over to Fox. I went over to my Sling DVR for this one. WWE Friday Night Smackdown on Fox. The go-home show before tomorrow afternoon's Night of Champions. And tonight's Smackdown was taped after last week's live Smackdown in Hershey, Pennsylvania. The commentators Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. Let's get into Friday Night Smackdown for tonight. For the WWE United States Championship, Austin Theory taking on Sheamus. I thought this was actually a pretty good match here. I thought these two, Sheamus and Theory, actually worked pretty well together. And then the finish sees pretty deadly. Get involved, getting into it with the Brawling Brutes ringside. That causes a distraction for Sheamus, and then Austin Theory is able to roll him up to retain the United States Championship. And next up, women's tag team action. Raquel Rodriguez and her new tag team partner taking the place of Bianca I don't know why I said that, Liv Morgan, once again, live, and they defeat Damage Control when Raquel pins Bayley, causing more problems between Damage Control, which I've been talking about for a little bit now. I hope this isn't what happens, but it kind of looks like they could be teasing possibly a split for Damage Control. Whether, I don't know if they have Dakota Kai, and Io Sky separate from Bayley and team the two of them, and Bayley goes on her own, or if they have Bayley remain heel and either Dakota or Io join her, and then the other one is Babyface. Could possibly do that. And then next up, we have Ashante the Adonis with his Hit Row teammates. And Top Dollar and B-Fab. He takes on Cameron Grimes. This one is kind of kept a little short again. Not as short as when Cameron Grimes defeated Baron Corbin, but still kind of short. Cameron Grimes gets the win. And then next up we see the SmackDown Women's Champion Bianca Belair. And she says she wants to fight Asuka. And she even still has some of the mist still on her hands. And we hear the music of the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka. Bianca Belair looking up at the entrance. But Asuka comes in from behind and attacks Belair. And then security and all the agents make their way to the ring to break it up. And Bianca breaks free, goes for the KOD on Asuka, but when she flips her one of the agents catches her, and Asuka escapes. And next up, LA Knight defeats Rick Boogs, and the Street Profits are on commentary for this one. And then after the match, LA Knight goes to the floor and gets in the faces of the Street Profits. Next up, one of the superstars that will be competing for the new Raw World Heavyweight Championship tomorrow at Night of Champions, the phenomenal AJ Styles defeats Karrion Kross with the phenomenal forearm. Pretty good match here. Definitely made Styles look good heading into tomorrow to face Seth Rollins. Also tonight we saw the video package on AJ Styles and Seth Rollins that were very good as well, which of course we saw a couple still photos from his time in New Japan, and one of the times he won the TNA World Championship. And should be a good match. Styles and Rollins tomorrow. And the final segment of tonight's Friday Night Smackdown, it is the KO show, hosted by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And they call out their guests, the Tribal Chief, the Undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns, and his partner Solo Sikoa, who will be challenging Owens and Zayn for the tag team titles tomorrow. But we don't get them right away. Instead, the Usos make their way to the ring, and Owens and Zayn try to talk some sense into them. And then finally the Usos snap, and then Jimmy's even, I think, calls himself the Tribal Chief, and Paul Heyman on the apron gets this worried look on his face, and then we hear the music of the Tribal Chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, and they come out, and the Bloodline leaves. First, Sami Zayn says the Bloodline is collapsing and it's all your fault to Roman Reigns. And then, the Bloodline leaves Owens and Zayn lane. And Roman Reigns makes the Usos hand him the Undisputed Tag Team Championships, Solo holding the other titles, and Jimmy has the titles, and he does not want to give them to Roman. And then finally, Jay takes them from Jimmy, and then hands them to the Tribal Chief, and then they put the ones in the air, except for Jimmy Uso, who is just standing there in the corner with his head down facing the top turnbuckle. And while this is going on, Jay, he has the one up in the air, but you can also see him looking over at Jimmy and trying to get him to come over there and do it, but he does not. So they continue to keep teasing these problems and dissension within the Bloodline. Who knows what's going to happen? We already know that the Usos are not supposed to be at Night of Champions tomorrow, as Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa challenge Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. So that was tonight's WWE Smackdown, and we have at this time one more show to talk about, and it is AEW Rampage on TNT tonight. Yes, it was tonight, which at one time was supposed to be tomorrow night at midnight, but due to the NBA game tonight, but due to the series ending, the game tonight was not necessary. So for the first time in a little while, AEW Rampage back at its regularly scheduled time. And we start things off with a trios match. Rush Deristico and Preston Vance take on the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. In this one, we see Max Caster pin Deristico to get the win for his team. And Anthony Bowens gets on the mic after the match, and he says the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn won a shot at the Trios Championships. The Gunns and Ethan Page get a win in Trios action. The Native Beast, Nyla Rose, and the Problem, Marina Shafir, take on the kind of odd couple team of Hikaru Shida and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, as Dr. Britt Baker scores the win for her team with the lockjaw. And then after this match, we see in the back where the AEW Women's Champion Jamie Hayter was attacked by the Outcasts. And in our Rampage main event this week, representing the firm, Big Bill and Lee Moriarty defeat Best Friends. And during this match, the participants of tomorrow's Blackjack Battle Royal, where Orange Cassidy will be defending the AEW International Championship. They're all at ringside in the crowd, and then after the match they all get into it and brawl. And then Keith Lee makes his way out, Swerve Strickland. So that's the Blackjack Battle Royal this Sunday at AEW Double or Nothing. Orange Cassidy defending the AEW International Championship. And that was tonight's episode of AEW Rampage. But before I wrap up, just a little bit of news I want to mention real quick. After Impact Wrestling's Under Siege went off the air tonight, I saw a report that Jordynne Grace is now a free agent. So apparently it looks like she has not signed a new deal with Impact Wrestling, and can kind of tell because after that loss to Deonna Purrazzo tonight, Matt Raywalt while on commentary, was kind of talking that we might not see her for a while, so in a way kind of writing her off in case she does not sign. But who knows what could be next for Jordynne Grace. Could she possibly have a chance with WWE or AEW? Maybe go to Japan? Who knows? Definitely good talent in Jordynne Grace. And also let me know in the comments section right here on Spreaker or whichever website or whichever app or podcatcher, whichever they're called these days, you listen to. If they have a comment section, let me know what you want to see happen for Jordynne Grace. Where do you want to see her go? Do you want to see her stay in Impact Wrestling? Maybe get a shot with WWE? Or would you like to see her be all elite in AEW? Once again, let me know in the comment section. And that's all for this special live episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. As I have done for a little bit now, after these live pay-per-views / premium live events / live specials, whichever you want to call them, I'm going to be right here at 360 Wrestling Fanatic doing a live episode instead of just recording. Just one quick programming note though, tomorrow afternoon, Night of Champions, I will still be working when it is on live. So the live episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic will not be right after Night of Champions, but I do plan on doing a special live episode again sometime tomorrow. I am not sure as of right now when that live episode will air, but stay tuned just in case. I'm sure I will probably be live sometime tomorrow. I'm just not sure as of right now when, but stay tuned. Also, Sunday night, I do plan on going live right after AEW Double or Nothing right here, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Whenever Double or Nothing goes off the air, I plan on being live right here for 360 Wrestling Fanatic. So hope everyone joins me for those episodes on this big pro wrestling weekend. And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, or want to say anything at all, you can write in the comment section. Also, if you have a company or a business or a product you want to advertise on 360 Wrestling Fanatic or 360 GMWF, you can just email me 360wrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. I'll definitely do a read for your product, and I'll try not to mess up too badly. I'll try my best to do a pretty good job. So once again, email me at 360wrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. Hope we can work together somehow. And once again, I'll be live sometime tomorrow for 360 Wrestling Fanatic. But first, before then, tomorrow morning, the Saturday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Stay tuned for that, where I will preview WWE Night of Champions. But until then, hope everyone enjoyed Impact's Under Siege, Friday Night Smackdown, and AEW Rampage tonight. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.